Unnamed Memory episode 7. And surprisingly enough, this episode actually ended what started, I think it was in the last episode or something like that. And what I mean by this is that this episode actually ended the whole plot or the whole mini story of Tinasha going away. The reason this is surprising to me is because I actually thought it was going to take a lot more to be resolved, maybe until the last episode or close to the last episode. But no, I think it only took, what was it, 2, perhaps 3 episodes or something like that. And yeah, I mean, this was actually a very important story. And even though I think it was ended pretty quickly, I actually think it was handled pretty well. I mean, I think everything was resolved. I mean, I think we got everything answered, I would say. There wasn't actually anything that was left, unanswered or something like that. So yeah, even though it was short, it was, brief, it was actually pretty good while it lasted. So yeah, that was surprising to me. And this episode, like I said before, answered a lot of questions that I had in the previous episode. The first question that I had that was answered in this episode was if Tinasha really was betraying not only Oscar but the whole country of Farsas or Kingdom of Farsas? And the answer to that was no, she was not betraying anyone. And I think that was pretty clear, to be honest. I don't think anyone actually, thought that Tinasha was going to betray Farsas and Oscar. I don't think anyone actually thought that. I think we were being pretty honest. I mean, yeah, that was never going to happen because Tinasha is simply not that type of person. At least until now, she hasn't been to be shown to be that type of person. So it wouldn't have made sense for her to do that. And of course, she didn't do that. As we saw in this episode, she had a plan. And yeah, just like I said in the previous episode, her plan was to take revenge on Lana. And I mean, I guess that is not really a big prediction or anything like that, because that was pretty obvious that was going to happen. There was no reason for her not to do that, because we have to remember that it was thanks to Lana that her old kingdom, Tuldur, I think that is how it is called, was destroyed. So of course it wouldn't have made sense for her to be all fine and chill with Lana when he did that. And also another thing I think I mentioned in the last episode was how a lot of villages were shown to be empty, and in those villages Tinasha was spotted besides them. That was sort of the episode implying that maybe Tinasha was the one responsible for this. But I think I said in the previous episode that maybe something else was happening. Maybe Tinasha was sending them to another place or something like that. I don't think Tinasha will kill all the people in the villages. And yeah, it was something similar to that. I mean, not exactly what I said, but it was that she was just putting a protective barrier. It was basically showing something that was not there. It was showing that it was empty when it was really not. So yeah, it was kind of weird how that worked. But of course she didn't kill anyone. And I have to say that all this time Oscar actually believed in her. He didn't at any point in time actually thought that maybe Tinasha was doing something wrong, which actually speaks a lot about Oscar's character, that he's really a person that actually puts a lot of trust into people. So yeah, we see a lot in this episode that he never believed anything of those bad things that were being said about Tinasha, even in the last episode too when it happened. So yeah, I guess you can say that is a good trait about Oscar. Another brief thing that was mentioned in the episode was the relationship between Lana and Tinasha. We didn't actually know what was the relationship, and it was mentioned that actually Lana was a teacher to Tinasha. So yeah, that was the relationship before. But now apparently Lana did actually want to marry Tinasha. So yeah, I guess that was the relationship before. It was student and teacher. And I mean, I guess you can say Lana was kind of jealous because Tinasha was more powerful than him. Tinasha was more, I guess you can say, also smart than him. So yeah, he was actually really jealous. He even said in this episode that he just saw her as a tool. So yeah, I guess you can say that says a lot about him. And it was actually shown, or not so much shown, but hinted at that Lana was killed in this episode. I don't know if that actually happened by the hands of Oscar. I think it did actually happen. I mean, there would be no reason for Oscar not to do that, especially after what he said about Tinasha. So yeah, I think he did actually die in this episode. I don't know if I'm right on that, which is really interesting because where does the story go now after all of this has been resolved? It is really up in the air where the story is going to go now. I mean, you can put up a lot of theories that it's going to go here, there, but I mean, I thought Lana was going to be actually the final, I guess you can say, villain or something similar to that. I mean, not necessarily the final villain, but one of the final villains, because of course the final villain will probably be the Wish of Silence, and for him to be defeated this early is interesting in itself. So yeah, I guess that is the biggest question that came out of this episode. Where does the story go now? I think it will probably explore the other wishes before the Wish of Silence. I mean, there are other wishes that have not been explored yet, so we will probably be hearing about about those wishes before the wish of silence. I think this is where the story is heading. Will they actually be, good like Tinasha and Lucretia, or will they be evil like, the wish of silence? Or maybe somewhere in the middle, not necessarily good, but also not bad either. It was also mentioned by Oscar that now, Tinasha is officially his fiancée. I think that is how it is pronounced, fiancée or something similar to it. So yeah, it was mentioned that he did that because basically a lot of people wanted her dead. So in order to protect her, he basically had her become his fiancée. So yeah, that was basically everything that happened in the episode. This is a very important episode in the grand scheme of things because we learn a lot about Tinasha's backstory, about her country, about other things like the nation of Cusco, which by the way was not, disbanded. It was mentioned that it was now an autonomous region of Meishes. So yeah, and other little things that we learn in this, I guess you can say, mini arc of 2 or 3 episodes. So yeah, these episodes were really important to the story, will actually be very impactful going forward. And yeah, now that I guess you can say Oscar doesn't have that curse, and now that Tinasha has resolved some of her backstory, yeah, there are definitely a lot of new things that will come going forward. So yeah, this episode was really good and I actually enjoyed it a lot. And if you don't want to miss any episode reviews, please subscribe to the channel. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. And yeah, that will be everything by me, and I guess I'll see you all in the next episode review.